Okay, here we go. So another focus on high tech, and it's funny because I feel weird talking about high tech all the time because that was the field that I used to work in, and it makes me feel like I'm focusing on my own thing. But the reality is that high tech is the news story of the day, especially with AI, quantum computing, and all this other stuff that's going on. So, what is the news story today? So, the news story today is that Mark Zuckerberg is laying off thousands of employees, and isn't this nice? He's doing it and saying that they're getting rid of the lowest performing employees. So anyone that gets laid off at Meta during the time frame that he's describing will probably never work again because now it's out there that they're considered low performers. Now, the thing I want to say about a company like Meta and low performance is that the actual problem in a company like Meta, now I have not worked at Meta, but I've worked in high tech, is that management is pathetic and sad. And the reason for that is that these are companies that have received money almost for free continually for a long period of time. And so they've never really had to manage all that well, and th- for a lot of employees, their performance is based on the ability of their manager to understand what it is that they're doing. And I can speak from experience on this because I've reported to a few people that had no concept of what it was that I was doing. In fact, I had one manager try to take over my work, and it was obvious in the discussion that he had no concept of what I was doing, right? And this happens in high tech all the time. Like, I've got 30 years of experience. This goes way back to the telco days because software engineering is a very complex thing, right? It's very complex. But anyway, let's look at this message from our fearless leader, Mark Zuckerberg. Meta is working on building some of the most important technologies in the world. Are they really, though? Meta is, right? Like, I know they use a lot of technology. We'll get into that later. But are they really building some of the most important technology? AI, that's not their thing. Glasses as the next computing platform. That's just stupid. And the future of social media. Well, they should be the future of social media. I mean, they're the biggest social media platform on the face of the planet. This is going to be an intense year, and I want to make sure we have the best people on our teams. Isn't he speaking like a true startup? Except this company is almost 20 fucking years old. And they want you to work there as if they haven't matured. And I mentioned this in one of my earlier videos, how you have to watch out for these companies that pretend that they are startups. They're not. Facebook is not a startup. It is one of the largest high-tech companies on the face of the planet that is pretending to be a startup. Why are they pretending? So that they can get the most out of you for the lowest price. They want to treat you like shit. They want to overwork you, and they don't want to pay you for it. That's why you pretend that you're a startup. They are nowhere near being a startup. Do better, Facebook. It's not up to your employees. Get your own shit together. Next paragraph. I've decided to raise the bar. He alone, he was just sitting at home, eating some popcorn. He's like, I've got to raise the bar. God damn it. And he went back into the office, I guess, and wrote this. I've decided to raise the bar on performance management and move out low performers faster. We typically manage out people who aren't meeting expectations over the course of a year, but now we're going to do more extensive performance-based cuts during this cycle with the intention of backfilling these roles in 2025. Oh, are you going to provide us information of how much you're paying the new employees that have replaced the older employees that maybe are a little bit older Maybe they've built up, because you get pay raises every year, a little bit of a salary. Maybe they've built up some vacation time, right? No, we won't hear about that. We won't manage out everyone who didn't meet expectations. Oh, you're hanging on by a thread there. Someone like me, right? For the last period, if we're optimistic about their future performance. And for those who we do let go, we'll provide generous severance in line with what we've provided with previous cuts. Generous severance. You're never going to work again because now everyone knows that we got rid of you because we think you're shit. But we're going to give you generous severance. And we don't have to. Because people, I've been learning this about the United States. They don't have to give any severance at all. It's out of the kindness of their heart. Mark Zuckerberg, through the kindness of his heart, is giving 1/millionth of his income to these people. We'll follow up with more guidance for managers ahead of calibrations. Why didn't someone punch him when he said that? People who are impacted will be notified on February 10th or later for those outside the U.S. Letting people go is never easy. But I'm confident this will strengthen our teams and help us build leading technology to enable the future of human connection. Yes, Facebook is the future of human connection. There's a piece of garbage software that cannot even sort my notifications correctly. And I've been saying to people, I'm sorry if I don't get back to you, but my notifications have stuff from 3 days ago, followed by, if I drill down, stuff from 1 minute and 2 minutes ago. Yeah, you're really building the future, The reality here is that, and this is what we see throughout high tech in the United States, is that employees are being removed and being brought in with people that will work for less. Whether it's the H-1B visas where people are kind of held, you have to work here, you have to do what we say, or you're gone, or maybe a new graduate, who was just like, dear God, let me survive for 5 minutes, right? But I want to go back in time into Facebook's hiring practices, because you have to wonder, how do they have all these employees? And by the way, if they have to continually get rid of employees, that's because they have a horrible hiring process and they hired people that were not fit, or they have bad managers who can't get anything out of them, right? Or they hired too many people because they were competing against other companies and they wanted to hire people so that other companies didn't get them, which is completely unethical and leaves these people in a very bad position, and they should have probably taken the other job that might have been offered at a lower salary, right? But I want to give you my experience with Facebook, and I did not work with Facebook, thank God. But I did have one of their people tracking me down and trying to get me to interview with them. And they promised so much. They were going to move me down to the United States, and the visa, they would take care of all that. All I would have to do is sign some papers, according to this person anyway. And I was not interested because, first of all, they wanted a developer. I think this was for Instagram. I think it was all Python. And I was actually, at the time, learning Python because I wanted to move all of my stuff that I do from Perl to Python, right? But the point is, I didn't want the job. I had kids up here, and I was separated at the time. And I believed in the company. I used to believe in the company Proofpoint that I worked for, right? And I would not leave them. But they wouldn't leave me alone, and rather than cut ties and be rude and block someone, I decided to do the interview, because you never know. But what it really came down to was, this was mostly a dev type of job, even though it was in Python, and it was really not up my alley, even though, I've always been very curious about things like Instagram and Facebook and how they scale that sort of stuff. But as you mature, you're like, that's 2 weeks of training, and then am I really going to enjoy working there, or do I really want to live in the United States? But my point is this. They were very aggressive. They were very aggressive, and to the point where I did an interview for a company that I didn't even want to work for, mostly because of geography. It's like I didn't have any hatred towards Facebook at the time, but geographically it didn't make any sense. But this is what they used to be, and they were bringing more and more and more and more people in. And if I had been hired for that, I'm sure I'm one of the people that would have been laid off, and it would have been stupid for me to go down there because I wasn't a developer. right? And so the thing I want to point out about Facebook is that there is a never ending greed about Facebook. First, they were greedy about getting any talented person, anyone in warm shoes, essentially, in there to prevent other companies from poaching these people. Now they're full of greed in the sense that they think that they own the world. They don't need these people anymore, and they will treat them like absolute garbage. And the thing that the big problem that a company like Meta, as it's called now, is causing is that there has been for decades a very good computer science education system in the United States that led to a lot of technological breakthroughs. They are destroying that now. They are absolutely destroying that because we're going to get into this a little bit in later on, but would I say, based on companies like Meta, that someone should go into computer science? Absolutely not. There is absolutely no reason to get into computer science if you're going to work for Meta or a lot of these other companies. Why? Well, you may as well go out and try to be an NBA player. Because the reality is, the work you're going to be doing after paying all of this money for computer science is going to be garbage. And you're going to be treated like garbage. And that 1% or 2% will have the decent jobs where they are thinkers and they are decision makers. You are not going to be that person. That is disappearing more and more and more and more in high tech every single day. I want to go into because I've been complaining about the United States a lot lately. Trump brings that out in me, but I want to go into a story that might make sense to people in the IT world, especially in the United States right now. And this one comes from Canada. I'll be right back. Okay, so yeah, this comes from Canada in 2013. Okay. This is from the CBC. Ex-RBC foreign workers say contractor controlled their lives. Canadian bank insiders say outsourcing savings is not worth the cost. And what this story is that the Royal Bank of Canada was bringing in temporary workers from India using a company called iGate, I think it was, where they were replacing Canadian workers at RBC, and the Canadian workers were being forced to train these people that were being brought in. Can you imagine that? Absolutely disgusting behavior. But then on top of that, we learned that these people from India were getting very few benefits. And when you read through this story, and I'll put it in the link, they're pretty much indentured and they're treated like garbage. But this is what big companies want. They want you indentured and they want to treat you like garbage and they want to pay you as little as possible. How would we think that anything is any different from that? Right? It's absolutely the case. This is an embarrassing case for RBC, but I doubt that this was the end of it. We just don't hear about it anymore. Even the federal government was up in arms about this. But did they do anything? No, they didn't do anything because they love big business and they love the banks. Right? Okay, so we've covered all of that. Companies are evil. We all know this. To kind of finish off though, these companies in the United States, by absolutely attacking the tech workers, are going to cause a huge problem in the economy, because the tech revolution, I guess you would call it, was one of the few bright spots in the Western world over the past while. And they are now attacking that to a point where they're going to destroy the entire ecosystem of people studying all the way through to competition and stuff like that. I do not see the Dennis Ritchies of the future coming out now. in some ways. But that is their intent. The intent is that Meta does not want someone else coming up and competing with them. So if they can destroy the entire ecosystem to make sure that doesn't happen, that's great, right? But I want to say something about this, and I want to admit something as to why I worked in computer science for 30 years. I had a Windows computer. I think it was Windows 3.1 with DOS. And I bought so many books and I read through it and I read everything. And at the end of it, I was like, ugh, I was not very impressed with it. And then I came across Unix and I came across then open source software. And this changed everything for me. And I was on a mission and I did this for 30 years. Working at companies where I protected the interest of open source software and I protected the interest of Unix being part of that ecosystem to grow and grow and grow and grow to where we have it now today, where almost everything is running. Try to tell Windows users this, they will not believe you. But almost everything is pretty much running on Unix. Unix is the huge cornerstone of the modern high-tech economy. From I haven't even used the NVIDIA stuff, from the NVIDIA stuff all the way down to your phones, to all of the containers that are running in AWS and Azure and whatever the hell Google's cloud is. I think it's called Google Cloud. And my purpose, the reason I was involved was to make sure that happened. Because even though I was not formally trained earlier on, I saw what Microsoft was doing, and I saw that Microsoft was full of shit. And I knew that we had to protect the digital future from Microsoft. And people might think that that's absolutely insane today. But we accomplished a lot. Tens of thousands of us accomplished a lot by making sure that Microsoft did not get a stranglehold on the internet. And it was beneficial to everyone. That was the case. And it provided a lot of work. It provided a lot of income, and it provided for a ton of startups, right? And what I want to say here today is that the war is absolutely not over. So if you think you want to get into computer science today, you have to understand that you're taking up the mantle to destroy Microsoft, AWS, Meta, etc. Because now they are all monopolists as well, or at least they want to be. We never wanted the Microsoft monopoly that they were always aiming for. When you bought a piece of hardware, you were paying for Windows even if you didn't want it. And the Windows people would be like, but I do want it, so I don't see why you have a problem with that. It's about monopoly. All of these companies are now monopolies. I'm looking out to the people that write the agreements about open source software. I'm looking out to the people who are the future software developers. This cannot stand. These companies are just as bad or worse than Microsoft. And somehow through our open source software, we are supporting it. It's time to pull the plug and let them die. And it may sound controversial to say something like that, but this is how for 30 years I have operated. Let them die. And it'll be good for everyone. Goodbye, Facebook. Goodbye, Twitter. Why use Twitter? Go to Blue Sky now. This is your purpose if you decide to take on the mantle and hold the, something or whatever it is for computer science. Your job is to destroy these companies through competition, which is what America used to be all about. But now we see Elon Musk and Donald Trump coming in and all these tech bros getting up close to him because they don't want the competition. Your job is to provide competition in a way that destroys them to the point where they are absolutely unable to compete. That's your job. That was always our job. Do you think it was easy to go up against Microsoft? People used to say when I got into the business, no one ever got fired for buying Microsoft. That's how prevalent that sentiment was. And we did it anyway, and we did not destroy them, but we prevented them from taking over. Now there's a bigger problem in the sense that they want to use nuclear reactors to power their AI. Microsoft will never ever stop. I hope people understand this now. It's to the point now where they're going to use nuclear reactors to have the control that they have always wanted. It is up to you as the computer science student to be the rebel and to destroy them. That's my message. I've done my bit. I'm done now. I've been absolutely destroyed through poor management and a guy from VMware, actually, which it's funny because VMware, oh my God, such trash. But that's a story for another day. To hell with them. But that's your job. It's not your job to be a complacent person working for a crap company. So good luck to anyone studying computer science, and I wish you all the best in destroying these companies. Thank you.